Hi, I'm John Waterhouse, and welcome to Class 4 in our series on the original science of mind, taught by Reverend Dr. Barbara Waterhouse. For this class, she's teaching from the original Science of Mind textbook, which was published in 1926 by Dr. Ernest Holmes. When he was young and feisty and talking about a lot of things that might be of interest to you. So thank you for being here. We know that you're going to have a great class and that your time will be well spent with Barbara. So to get going here, I'm going to do a spiritual mind treatment to get us into the class and knowing the truth. So if you would join me in the knowing of truth, that there is a presence and a power that dwells in, through, and as all things. It is right here, right now, wherever I am and wherever each person is that is watching this class. I know that the blessings of this class reveal themselves easily to everyone that comes, that there are lessons to learn, there are nuances, there are understandings and that have great depth and value in all of our lives. And that we continue to expand in this understanding and use these teachings and principles to make our lives work better and better. I know that this class brings great value to everyone's life who shares in it, and all is good because in the midst of it all, there is only God. So certain that this is so, knowing that everyone is awake and aware and enjoying this experience, I let it be all that it is meant to be right here, right now, and always. And so it is. Have a great class.
Pages and pages and pages of words and their definition, and then a circle much like this, packed with those words. So I want to give you a little overview of that before you get into your reading. How many people have read ahead? Don't you love the way this is easy to read? It makes sense. It's a logical argument of how the universe works, of who we are. And inherent within that is the possibility of having the life of our dreams. So we're going to have some words that we will go back to. Sometimes when we feel like there is something in our life that is outside of the realm of spirit, that can somehow rule us, whether it's a diagnosis or someone left us or something like that, it's tempting to go into that old idea that says, God is all that there is as long as everything is going well. But when things happen that I didn't think I wanted to have happen, then there's something outside of the power of spirit. And that's when you find yourself going to a practitioner and having them remember for you that no, everything is in spirit, everything is in divine order and the divine nature. So we're going to start with a little bit of that just to give you some understanding of the mechanics of how all of this works. Here is the circle. If you've noticed, we've got one in tile out by the front doors. We have a lot of these teaching symbol circles around. People have earrings and necklaces and lapels and tie clasps and things like that, because a lot is based on this circle. It's not about the circle. It's just about being able to talk about things in a way that we can wrap our minds around. So because this is a linear circle, it's not a flat model at all, it's an old hierarchical description, we have spirit at the top. And then we have the motion of spirit moving through this idea called law, showing up as what we call body. The body of our affairs, the body of the world, our physical body, our financial body, whatever that is, that's in body. And we start out with this idea that whatever spirit is self-existent. That means it doesn't exist anywhere other than itself. There is nothing other than spirit. Spirit is not in relationship with Mr. Spirit, is in relationship with Mrs. Spirit, cousin spirit, uncle spirit. There is no other thing that can be. It's all spirit. Spirit exists within itself. And why that's important is because everything exists within spirit. And that's all well and good as long as everything's looking fine and there are no surprises in life. But sometimes if we're watching the news or talking to someone else, we might find something that we think is not of spirit. Enter in good and bad, and God and the devil, and that kind of a thing. We move into this idea that says there can be something outside of the divine. Now remember, before the break, we talked about how mathematically impossible that is. That there cannot be anything out of spirit. Spirit is self-existent. Everything exists within spirit. Spirit did not make spirit. There's not a cause before spirit. I've had people say, well, who made God? Well, whatever God is, whatever that original creative force is, must have made your limited idea of what God is. There is something that ends up being the only thing that is. Everything that exists within it. And then you have this idea of volition, which means the ability to take action. So whatever spirit is, spirit can set this law in motion. Keep in mind, we have these same qualities of the divine because all of God exists at the point of us right now. So we have that same volition. You have the ability to set things in motion in your life. You have the ability to do something, to take action on a mental or a physical level, to have things move in your life. Spirit has this idea of volition. It has this idea of choice. There must have been a choice at some point. You know, if I wanted to put it in human terms, I would imagine that maybe at some point Spirit was getting a little bored, just being light and love, decided wanted some form. Wow, how about some universe layers? How about some multiverses of simultaneous universe layers? How about life manifesting in form as human beings, life on this planet, life in so many dimensions that there must be just infinite amounts of life going on. There must be some kind of choice. Was it a conscious choice where whatever spirit is, being self-existent, thought, I think I will create time and space? Doubtful. But as part of that creative process, that ever expansion, because if it is ever not expanding, then there is an end to it, and then you have something outside of the infinite. It has to be always expanding. There is no edge to it, and I know that's a little tricky to think of sometimes. Always a beginning, never an ending, never an edge to it, always expanding. These are those, Zen koans. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Or if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there, does it make a sound? How can spirit always be beginning and never ending? How can something be expanding and yet never have an edge to where it is expanding into? And yet, in order for an infinite to exist, that's what has to happen. And the result of this, why it's important to us, is because everything then exists as a point of spirit. That means that whatever's going on in your hip, whatever's going on in your bank statement, whatever's going on with your friend, whatever's going on at work or in your car or whatever, that is all self-existent in and as spirit. And so what we can do is go from seeing it as something outside of the divine to seeing it as a part of the divine. And if you've been to a practitioner, or if you are a practitioner, you know that the entire work is to see that as spirit. Our job is to look not at God, but as God. To see each other as God sees us. A being of love, a being of light, perfect, having everything that we need always in our joy. And what we do is we focus on that packet of possibility and we bring it into form. Our job is to see the world not as something that we need to fix or change or bring into alignment with spirit, but as spirit, which means it's perfect, whole, and complete right here and right now. That's why Ernest says there's nothing to heal, only truth to be revealed. That's our job. So up here, which is the point of causation, whether it's on an absolute level, me creating time and space, universe, layers, the sunrise, all of that, or whether it's me saying, what do I want to do today? What am I going to create? How am I going to manifest my life right now? It's all the same energy. That's why I can stand up here and say, I speak claiming the force and the power of all creation. I speak my word as the word of God. I'm not trying to ask God to do something for poor little old me. I am speaking with that same power of creation that all of spirit makes manifest into form. Now, I don't know what that's like. And sometimes I'm just BSing myself. But I would rather go there than say, oh, dear Lord, I know I've screwed up, so please, if it's not too much trouble, could you? That's absurd. Because then, remember, God will be to you whatever you think God is. So if I construct an idea of deity like that, then that's the God that I get. It's better for us to begin to open our ideas to the idea that says everything, every problem, every circumstance, every joy, every demonstration is all self-existent as a manifested point of spirit in my life now, and that's the way I'm going to see it, and I'm going to look at it that way until I call it forth and get it. If you look for the blessing, you will find the blessing. If you look for the problem, you will find the problem, and that is why that works. So here you've got this idea of law. Wallace Wattles called it unformed substance. He said even the formed substance in the world is almost infinite, and if you look at unformed substance, it truly is infinite. Because there is no limit, there has to be an infinite amount of unformed substance. It's a receptive medium. It's like the soil that takes the seed and gives it everything that it needs to come forth into form. It is impersonal, meaning it can't tell you, you just did this 3 years ago and you're going to do it again. Is anybody cold?
Yes.
This is a thermostat. You are welcome to get up and go move the thermostat. This is a funny time of year. It gets colder quicker because it's not summer anymore, but it's not cold enough to have the heat come on. So please, take responsibility for your life and fiddle with the thermostat. This is impersonal, and there are a lot of people who are looking for the personal deity that will save them. They even call it Savior. But in order to have a Savior, you must have someone who needs to be saved. We don't look at ourselves as someone who needs to be saved. So what we have is an idea that is impersonal in that the law will take whatever we get it and bring it forth into form. If we put in something that's going to have great prosperity, love, happiness, and joy, that's what will show up. If we put something in it that will have poverty and illness and struggle and suffering, that's what will show up. And there is no power outside of us that can stop us from screwing up our lives. It is only us. And that is happening at this top part where we make a new choice, think a new thought, set a new intention, get a new idea. So some people say, oh, well, your teaching is so cold. It's so heartless. All you have is this law. Boy, that's just part of it. What you have is infinite love, total support for whatever it is we choose to do, a life that is already healthy, happy, wealthy, joy-filled. We don't have to change or go buy that or go get it. It's already in us, as us, is us, awaiting our view to simply reveal it. We have all of that. But when we just look at this idea called law, it is very impersonal. And that is because we are not in the triangle. Remember the triangle? You have the victim, the rescuer, and the perpetrator. And when you look at this in a traditional religious viewpoint, then you usually have the victim is me, the rescuer is God, and the perpetrator is the devil. Right? So I don't believe in a devil, which means I don't need to be rescued because I'm not a victim. I'm a powerful, creative, spiritual being alive and well on planet Earth. And if I have screwed up my life, I'm the one who have done it, because if I didn't do it, I can't fix it. I can fix my life. I can heal. If I'm breathing one more breath, I can be healed. I can have a healing. I can demonstrate abundance and prosperity and love and joy and happiness and opportunity. I can do that. But if I'm a victim, waiting or praying to an outside deity to save me, to rescue me from a fabricated idea called a devil, then I don't have any power, I don't have any freedom, I don't have any choice. So we don't do that here. We erase it. And we go back to this idea that says, whatever God is a self-existent spiritual cause. Out of that, I am. I am all of it, even though I have no idea what that means, and I can't even wrap my head around that, maybe just a tiny bit, but that has to be what I am. I am more than I could even ever imagine. I am so magnificent and bright and full. That is who I am. And there is a law that is impersonal, takes what I give it, and shows up as stuff. Shows up for me in my life, and we can do that with each other. That's one thing that I love about this teaching. It is not all on us. If we want help, we can reach out and have someone help us. How many people have ever seen a practitioner or had any kind of prayer work or treatment work? It works in your life. You go, you're a mess. You go, I don't know how this ever will work. Oh, I just can't wrap my head around it. You go, not a problem. I got it. I know. I'm clear. But I can't believe it. Can you believe that I can believe it? Well, sure. Boom. And it shows up. It shows up just like that. We've had cancer x-rays change to where the doctor says, I don't understand this. I called you and told you that it came out malignant, and now I'm holding the x-ray and it is no longer showing malignancy. We've had amazing things happen. Things that people would just go, that's impossible. No, it's not, because you're dealing outside of time and space. You can go back. Remember, you can go back and have a happy childhood. Think of the possibility. Well, I would have been a better person if I had had a better childhood. We'll go back and have one. Not a problem. And so you've got this idea called subjective. I love this word. It's not subconscious. It's not unconscious, because nothing is unconscious in consciousness, but it is subjective. It is subject to. That's what subjective means. Subject to. This is subject to this. Whatever you want to set in motion, all it can do is say, what was the Aladdin phrase? As you, what? Your wish is my command. All I can say is your wish is my command. Whatever it is you want, give it to me and I will make it happen. Yes?
I have to give you an example of how this was real.
Okay.
Sometime, I think I was around 20-ish, I had decided, I had decided that I wanted to ask for what I want. So I stood in the middle of the floor, had my hands out, can't for the life of me tell you the exact words. Went to take a nap. I wanted to go downtown, didn't have a dime. So someone came to my dorm, knocked on my door, and said, Valerie, would you take me, go with me downtown? I was like, okay, you know. And then I got on this road and I kept doing it. It was like so easy. You know what changed? I was a part of a religion. It's not the religion's fault. But this religion had a statement that says if you ask for a selfish God, if you ask for selfish things, you are asking a selfish God. the minute that that thought came to my mind, I could not do it any longer.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? How can you fabricate an idea from the givingness of all life to life that wants to withhold from you? I mean, it's really kind of crazy that in that paradigm of an outside God, you gave me life only to withhold it. That doesn't make any sense. You brought me, in the idea of an outside God, which we're using as an analogy, you brought me to life only to dangle blessings and beauty and joy and wonderful experiences and then tell me I can't have it. That's some sick stuff. You know, can you imagine a parent doing that to a child? That's crazy making, and so it's no wonder that people are crazy. But when you look at it and say that there is a givingness to life, and that all that givingness can do is give, how can it be unlike its true nature? Its nature is givingness, so it has to give. The only thing that life can do is give to us. Think about it. All that life wants to do, or even can do, is give to us. And it's up to us to stand in the middle of the floor and just say what we want and watch it show up until we get afraid. And then that's the work. You know, what story have we told ourselves? What lie have we told ourselves? What is it that we're thinking? Marianne Williamson, the world is not served by us playing small. What are we thinking that we have to pull back and not have? And for a lot of people, there is a real belief that there will be eternal suffering, burning in hell. Do you know that the word hell simply meant the garbage piles outside of the walls of Jerusalem? And they would set them on fire to burn the garbage. So it was hellfire. Hellfire was the burning garbage, and it was stinky, and nobody really wanted to go hang out there. So you didn't want to go get sent to hellfire. That was the garbage dump outside of the walls of Jerusalem. And Pope, not the current Pope, who I like. I do not agree with his theology, but I like his moxie. But Pope John Paul was the first pope to come out and say that heaven and hell are not real places. They're not real places. And this was 10 years ago when Pope John Paul was doing that. Heaven and hell are not real places, and yet there are people still who are afraid that if they have happiness today, they will have to have misery tomorrow, not understanding that their misery today is creating misery tomorrow, and their happiness today will create happiness tomorrow. But sometimes you're pushing against a lot of energy, belief, race consciousness, and sometimes you gotta, come to a place like this and say, remind me, it's okay to be happy. Not only is it okay to be happy, you have a spiritual responsibility to be happy. It is your job to be happy, to prosper, to be healthy, to thrive in this life. That is your job, to demonstrate the magnificence of spirit as you. That's your job. That's the evolution. That's the growth that keeps the infinite ever expanding. It is not your job to suffer, struggle, or hold yourself back. Isn't that great? You have new homework. It's your job to be happy. It's your job to be joyous. It's your job to feel good about life. And then you have the end result of all of this is the stuff that we see. Thinking that we believe it because we see it, not realizing it, that we see it because we believe it. Everything in our life is here because we believe that it is here. So if you want to shift something, first of all, just believe that it has the power to change, because the body, the result, the effect, the form always changes. That's why they have all those passages in the Bible that say it came to pass. It came to pass, not to stay. It's changing. Things are happening. That is the nature of life. The molecules in the plastic table are vibrating at super speeds. Nanoseconds. They're going in and out of form. Particle wave, particle wave, particle wave, particle wave. Things are happening so fast. Everything in physical form is changing. But when you move to the level of causation, of spirit, of life, of light, of love, of prosperity, of health, of happiness, of joy, it never changes. That never changes. The only thing that changes is form. And the law never changes. It always takes what is given to it and brings it about, manifesting into form. That's why sometimes I have you repeat things over and over and over and over again to bring you into alignment with that spiritual truth that is already here. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy. Everything is going great. Something wonderful must be happening here. That's your mantra for when things start to fall apart. Something wonderful is happening. My friend, the minister in San Jose, said as the keys sunk to the bottom of the lake that he dropped off the side of the boat as it was getting dark and he was looking to get in his car and go home. Something wonderful must be happening here. And then you pull the wonderfulness out. Otherwise you go, and that's what you get. That's what you get. I'm really trying to keep it clean here tonight. So you have words like absolute. Absolute means that there is nothing other than it. When you have words like relative, you have a relationship. R-E-L-A. So you have a relationship between one thing and another thing. That's not an H, that's a relationship. This is in relationship to this. This is in relationship to that. That is not at the level of the absolute. We have that all here in physical form, but the physical form is not the absolute. It is the relative. It is in the realm of the absolute that all things exist. The realm of the relative or the effect or the body of our affairs is where there's lots of stuff. But don't worry, if you have something in your life that you don't want to keep, it's changing anyway. I love what Abraham says is whatever's going on in your life right now is old news. It was the thought that you thought a minute ago. And your job is to think the thought you're thinking right now so that the circumstances in your life shift. And you get the new thing. Don't worry about anything going on in your life. First of all you do is energize it and keep it in your life by worrying about it. Just realize that it has no substance of its own. It is always changing, and it will shift. It will shift. It always does shift. Really, 1,000 years from now, do you think your problems are still going to be here? Oh, the neighbor's dog is barking. Oh, they didn't give me the promotion. Oh, they don't want to be with me. Who cares? What you want to do is focus on what you want and let go of that which you no longer choose to have. So this is the model that we use. We have this something. Call it spirit, God, call it first cause, call it the manifesting force, whatever it is. It is all that there is. It's energy, it's not form. It includes form, but it is not form. It is the formless in which all form exists. It is the limitless which contains all limits. Does that make sense? So it is something, and it is really big, and it is all that there is, and that we're a part of that, and since we're a part of it, we have to be it, whether we can imagine that or not. We are the ocean and the drop. So since this thing is creative, because we have creation, we have to have that same creative ability in us. And somehow, we set it in motion on a non-physical level. It's not by going and getting another job. We set it in motion with our choices, with our thoughts, with our ideas, with our intentions, with our beliefs, with our opening up to possibility. And something happens. Something takes that and brings it about into form. Quantum physics can map it out mathematically. If you can think it, it must exist. So then your job is to stay in alignment. And I don't care how impossible it may seem, to be able to say, I am going to forgive the father of my child, that will never happen. Of course it will. Love is all that there is. All you have to do is bring yourself into alignment, realize how powerful you are. You are not a victim. Nobody ever did anything to you. You are choosing your experience. Really, out of 7.5 billion people, we picked that one. And now we blame them. We could have picked somebody else. But our masochism matched their sadism so well. And now we're blaming them and keeping ourselves from being happy. That's crazy. We are creating our lives. We always have. We always will. It's up to us to awaken to that which we are already doing and to do it intentionally, to do it clearly. And every time we see something down here and we go, oh, it's about the money, it's about the job, it's about that person, it's about this body, it's about whatever, our job is to go, no, this is a changing effect. This is cause. There's nothing outside of spirit. Spirit is self-existent. Spirit manifests outside of itself. There's nothing outside of spirit, and it's our job to focus on that spiritual essence of the situation until we bring that reality forth. And I tell you, it's much easier to do than to keep the problem in place. It's hard to keep problems in place. It's exhausting. You have to tell all your friends about it. You have to think about it in the middle of the night. You've got to get your heart pounding and get all worked up about it. It's hard to keep your problems in place. It's easier to let go of that and open up to this idea that says there is a life and a love, a clarity. There is a balance and a health and a wholeness, a prosperity, a love, a joy that is inherent in what I am choosing to see as a problem. I am seeing incorrectly. The nature of that must be the presence of the divine, and it's my job to see it. And when we see it, all of a sudden people change. People who swore they'd never sign that contract, sign it. People who said that'll never happen, it happens, because we brought ourselves into alignment with the tractor beam on the packet of possibility that we want to live. Yes, Dave?
Just something that happened today. I started my own business, so things are a little goofy, but evidently one of our deals forgot to put our commission in it, so $8,000 just disappeared all of a sudden, and I made the choice, because I've got a picture of Barbara sitting right there by the computer. Like, again, I'm not going to let it upset me. The next phone call I had, the company I was working with requested contracts for $80,000 a year.
Yay.
I didn't need to get upset, so I didn't. So
The universe is never debtor. That which is yours cannot be taken from you unless you willingly give it away. And you give it away by becoming upset and believing that it's gone and giving in to your fear. But you didn't do that. Just like Ben didn't get upset when he got laid off. He said, what do I want? Something wonderful is happening here. I want to work for Google. You know how many people want to work for Google? He's going to work for Google because he didn't get upset. So good for you. Good for you, Dion. Yes, Valerie.
Question. The chart that you're doing, that's just for us to kind of grasp what's happening?
Yes, that's going to be the chart that you see in your reading next.
Yeah, I got
next 2
that.
weeks,
I've
yeah.
seen it.
Uh-huh.
But my question to you is, in the greater scope of things, are all of these all together? They're not really separated?
They're not really separate.
Okay.
The law is coexistent with spirit.
Right, okay.
It's not a separate thing from spirit. It's a different aspect. It's the way spirit works into form. Body is a result of that. It's not separate. Your chair is not separate from God. It's God as the chair. It is a divine chair. It is a holy chair. It is a special, spiritual chair. And when you start to see your world that way, your world begins to come alive. Who said something?
I just said that's the only way we can, like, our human brain could understand the way that it works.
Yeah, there's another one in a later book that Ernest wrote called Basic Ideas of Science of Mind, and he wrote it this way. So he put you, and then spirit, law, and body. This is a flat model. I just find for teaching, it's easier for me in a hierarchy. It's the descent of spirit into form. And then as that form is manifest as spirit, it begins the creative process all over again. So the circle goes like this. And then it goes like that to show that it happens infinitely, eternally. We are always creating. And then you'll have in your book, this is the universal chart on the big level, and then you'll have the individual thought, or individual chart, where you'll have my thought, my feeling, my belief, setting law in motion, and it shows up as my relationships and my job and my finances on an individual level. But it's all the same creative process. Ernest says, man reenacts the creative process of the universe, whether we're doing it at this point, not small, focused, or we do it on a universal level. It's all the same process. Because this is time and space. Space-time continuum. Let me just do this one thing before we go. And it's not about size, but we have the space-time continuum, and we've got this V coming from the manifestation of spirit into form, right? John's a much better drawer than I am. Except we've got infinite points. Like this. We got all the people that ever have been, ever will be, humans, other beings, angels, spirit guides, all of that, all focused in this time-space continuum. We are all reenacting on this point here in time and space, down here, like that, this. Does that make sense? And then you wonder why, when you go home for the holidays, they affect you. Well, it's because we're all like this together. Thinking thoughts, our energies are all on top of each other. Race consciousness is all of the thoughts that anybody has ever thought. Anybody is thinking now, all of the fears, all of the limitations, all of the joys, all of the healings, all of the possibilities, all of the peak experiences, all of that is at the point of you. So if you're feeling something, you may want to ask yourself, is that me? Or is that the person that pulled up next to me on Patton Avenue? Going to the mall 2 days before Christmas and you walk out. That's not you. That was all the energy flying around. So the more we learn about this, the more mindful we become as to what we let into our experience, our thoughts, our consciousness, our feelings. We begin to question everything. Really, do I need to be upset about that? Barbara told me that if I get upset about that, it's like burning $100 bills. How long do I want to be mad? How much money do I want to burn? I think maybe I'll choose to do something different, even though they said, did, whatever, in my presence. My reaction is my choice, but keep in mind that the same way you come here and feel good, you can go other places and not feel so good. So it's your job to maintain your state and to choose how you're going to feel, what you're going to think, what you're going to set in motion, what you're going to buy into, what your story is about your past or your future, and what you want to have happen. That's your job, not anybody else. I don't care what you say they did. It's all you, and it's up to you. And because it is you, you can. That's the neat thing about this, is if it really was on anybody else, we would all be stuck. We wouldn't be able to make any changes, but every change we can have, because there are infinite possibilities of our good waiting for us to focus on them. And then through this law of creation, they collapse into form as our lives. And people look at us and go, boy, are you lucky. Yeah. Good. Any questions?
Hi, this is John. Welcome back. I'm glad that you stayed through the whole class, and I'm knowing that you got something fantastic out of it. The one thing I want to invite you to do is go to the website, if you're not already there, click the donate button and leave us a gift. Leave a gift for Center for Spiritual Living Asheville so that we can continue doing our work and so that you are getting the most out of being in this class. So whatever you can afford, please do that with us and for us, and know that everything about this is working in your life. And this was class 4, so we will see you again for the next class in a week. Have a great week. Thank you so much.